Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into the world of Peter Schwartz, an American futurist, author, and business executive. His way of thinking has really, changed how companies look ahead.
That's absolutely right. And when we say futurist, especially for Schwartz, we mean a real pioneer, particularly in something called scenario planning. He's actually the chief futures officer at Salesforce.com right now.
Chief Futures Officer, wow.
Yeah, it says a lot. So our goal today is to kind of unpack how his unique way of thinking has made such a difference and maybe what you can take away from it.
And it's a fascinating journey, honestly.
Mhm.
His work spans from, major corporate strategy all the way to Hollywood films. It's quite a range, built on a pretty remarkable personal story. So let's get into that story. Peter Schwartz, born 1946, but not in a typical place. He was born in a displaced persons camp in Stuttgart, Germany.
Right. His parents were Hungarian Jews, survivors of concentration camps. An incredibly tough start.
Absolutely. The family eventually made it to America, settled in New Jersey, and he clearly excelled, won a National Merit Scholarship.
Which took him to RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. He got a degree in aeronautical engineering back in '68.
But here's where it gets interesting, the pivot, right? Engineering doesn't exactly scream futurist.
Not directly, no.
Yeah.
That's what's so intriguing. In 1972, he joins the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, and that's where he starts developing this distinctive way of thinking with the future, scenario planning.
Okay, scenario planning. What does that actually mean in his context?
Well, it's not about predicting the one single future. It's more about exploring several plausible futures, thinking through different ways things could unfold. So you're ready for, almost anything.
So preparing for uncertainty, basically.
Exactly. He became director of SRI's Strategic Environment Center, then took this thinking over to Royal Dutch Shell in London, leading their scenario planning. Big stuff.
And building on that Shell experience, in 1988, he co-founds the global business network, GBN. He called it an information hunting and gathering company. Sounds intriguing.
It really was. Think of it as a strategy firm, but totally focused on future thinking using these scenarios.
So how did GBN make something kind of complex like scenario planning stick? Make it popular?
Well, I think GBN was key because they made it practical. They helped companies actually use it. It wasn't just theory. It was about helping businesses almost rehearse for different possible futures. Yeah, instead of betting on one forecast, GBN got companies to craft these detailed stories, scenarios of how things might play out. Economic shifts, social changes, whatever. Then they'd test their strategies against each story.
So it makes strategies more robust, more resilient.
Precisely. Makes them work better no matter what surprises come along. GBN was eventually acquired, shut down later, but Schwartz's influence, it just kept going.
And clearly it did. He's been at Salesforce.com since 2011, Senior VP of Strategic Planning and now Chief Futures Officer, leading their futures team. Got inducted into the Futurist Hall of Fame in 2012, too.
Makes sense.
Beyond the corporate world, he's also a major author. His 1991 book, The Art of the Long View. Why is that book considered so important?
It really laid out his whole approach. It made scenario planning understandable for everyone, not just specialists. The big idea was embracing uncertainty, using stories about the future to test your plans.
Structured exploration, not rigid prediction.
You got it. That's why the Association of Professional Futurists called it the best book ever on the future. It's still used in schools.
So we see the corporate side, the writing.
Yeah.
But you mentioned diverse applications earlier. What else?
Well, here's one that might surprise you. He actually co-authored a report for the Pentagon.
The Pentagon? Seriously?
Yeah. It was called An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and Its Implications for United States National Security, applying that foresight thinking to national security. Pretty high stakes.
Wow. Okay, that is surprising. And then there's the Hollywood connection you teased earlier.
Right. Talk about diverse. He consulted on films like Minority Report, Deep Impact, Sneakers, War Games.
Wait, Minority Report?
Yeah.
How does scenario planning fit into making a movie like that?
Well, for films like that, his job was often to help them imagine a believable future world. Yeah. Using his methods to think through the tech, the society, the politics of that fictional setting.
So building a consistent, plausible scenario, even if it's for fiction, it gives it that realism.
Exactly. It makes the world feel grounded, even when the story is speculative.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway from Peter Schwartz's life and work for you listening?
I think his story shows how powerful deep curiosity can be, especially when combined with a structured way to think about the future, like scenario planning. And crucially, being able to communicate those complex ideas.
Yeah, that ability to connect the dots across different fields, boardrooms, security, movies is pretty incredible.
And he really teaches us that thinking about the future isn't about having a crystal ball. It's about being prepared for different possibilities. It pushes you to think critically, consider different views, become more adaptable.
So here's a final thought to chew on. How could you maybe use a bit of that scenario planning mindset yourself, in your own life, your career? How could thinking about different possibilities help you handle the surprises that inevitably pop up?